Hi, everyone. Welcome to Radiant Living, Inspiring Humanity to Thrive. I'm Marisa B, and today I have with me someone affectionately known as the PhDiva, Dr. April Lynn James, classically trained soprano with a PhD from Harvard, delightfully readable book called The Tenth Muse, how, I hope I say this right, Maria Antonia advanced the pastoral opera, which debuted at #1, and it's an international bestseller. And she's here today to talk about her wellness journey and what she's got going on now. Thank you so much for joining us today, April.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Marissa, and hello to everyone out there watching. Yeah, well, my wellness journey.
Yes, and it's I didn't want to give too much away because it's so wonderful, including your muse. So could you give us a little bit about a background, how this all started, your wellness journey?
Yeah, well, my wellness journey, I think we're all on a wellness journey from the moment we come to the planet, but it was during graduate school when I was doing my doctorate up at Harvard. I had not, no, I'm a classically trained soprano, but I've been singing my entire life. And I got into Harvard after doing not a first BA, but a second BA. So I'd actually gone back to school to get a second BA at Queens College, my undergraduate, Queens College CUNY, before going into Harvard and to do a doctorate. And when I got to Harvard, the culture was vastly different than what I was used
Mhm.
to at the City University of New York. And I started developing during my first year there, I started developing stress-related issues. I I first of all, I had tendonitis in my right arm because I was typing all the time and sitting in
Mhm.
the library cramped up, like this kind of thing, not doing anything. I was depressed. I was getting depression because I was unhappy with a lot of things. And I gained a whole dress size in weight
Mhm.
that first year. And I instinctively knew that I had to change something. I'm going,
Mhm.
this is not good. And so the beginning of my second year, I really decided that I was going to do things differently. I got away from the computer. I signed up for dance classes to start off with.
Mhm.
I'm an 18th century music specialist, so I signed up for courses in Baroque dance at the Laundry School of Music, which is the
Oh,
conservatory
wow.
down the street from Harvard.
Wow,
I
that's
also
really different, huh?
Yeah, well, because I did want to at some level I wanted to know how to dance authentically to the music that I was researching. So, took that class. Also took modern classes at Radcliffe. I found a Bulgarian woman who taught mime and started studying with her. And I got back into juggling.
Oh, wow.
Juggling Yes, juggling was something that I had taught myself when I was, so after my first degrees in communications, I worked in television and in publishing for a little while. And I was bored, crazy. And so I took myself to Barnes and Noble and one day and found this book called Juggling for the Complete Klutz. And it comes with 3 bean bags. And I taught myself how to juggle from that book. So now here I am several years later at Harvard, trying to heal from this stuff. And I picked up those balls again, started, beanbags and started juggling regularly, joined the Harvard undergraduate. There's an undergraduate juggling club. So
Wow.
I was the only graduate student as part of that club, but I joined that. And pretty soon the extra weight went away, the depression went away, and the tendonitis, even, that
Mhm.
went away too. So I started realizing that, okay, I'm onto something, that
Mhm.
fun physicality is part of healing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And
Mhm.
now I see why you offer what you offer as I'm hearing this. And I don't want to give anything away because I think it's fabulous. Can you? So go on. I'll let you go on with your story because I want to hear a little bit about the book, first of all, because Maria Antonia was the first book, right? The Tenth Muse. Can
Yes.
you tell us just a little bit about that?
Yes. So my book, The Tenth Muse, How Maria Antonia Advanced the Pastoral Opera, as you said, debuted at #1 at the end of August last year, so 2023. Debuted at #1, stayed at #1 for a month, which really pleased me
Mhm.
because when I was a graduate student at Harvard, I tell you, I did not expect anything to happen with my dissertation. So that
I
had
find it
been my dissertation.
fascinating. I find it
Mhm.
fascinating because it's a woman and she
Yes.
advanced the pastoral opera. You know what I mean? And we hear, I mean, studying in school and I'm not studying music, but in history, and you hear about the pastoral operas and that, and in that time frame, and then to hear that it really was a woman who advanced it, I found it fascinating. So I can
Yeah.
understand how it was #1 because I'm sure other women wanted to read it. So,
Yeah.
but that's
Yes.
surprising that you yourself thought it wasn't going to be what it is.
Yeah, I didn't really know what would happen with my dissertation. I got into, and I can say how I got into researching Maria Antonia was that when I went back to school to do my music BA and then Harvard to do the PhD, I was really interested in filling in the gap in the music history
Mhm.
record. I had taken music history classes, and at that time, they talked about, well, there was Hildegard von Bingen, that's like 12th century,
Yes.
and then Clara Schumann, 19th century.
Mhm.
And I'm there going, wait a minute, no woman did anything during the intervening centuries? That's a big gap of time. And so I knew, I was like, I have to research this. I have to find something out. So when I was at Harvard, and then this is my second year in grad school, I'm taking a course called Manuscript Sources at Harvard. And it's with Christoph Wolff, who is a well-known J.S. Bach scholar. And he had, on the first day of class, pulled out a whole bunch of things from the library shelves. We have a rare books library as part of the music library up there at Harvard. He pulled a whole bunch of manuscripts out, original manuscripts. And I noticed that one of these, there were two, about this thick, two manuscripts together. And I looked on the spine and it said Maria Antonia, Il Trionfo della Fedeltà. And I said, okay, it's by a woman and this is an opera. Okay, and I asked him, is anybody researching her? He said no. I said, I am now.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I found my dissertation topic. And I was
Wow.
really happy to find that because I wanted to research music that I could
Mhm.
also sing. I'm a soprano,
Mhm.
that's why I'm the PhDiva, right?
Mhm.
And I wanted to research
Exactly.
something, I wanted to research something that I could
Mhm.
then perform. Yeah.
Oh, how lovely. But now you say you had, so you actually write with, because I know you do write poetry as well, and you write with a muse as well. And you say that you've found your muse that assists you during your wellness journey, right? She
Yes.
came about, and her name, can you tell us her
Uh,
name?
Madison Hatta Sonneteer. Yeah. And that's like wellness journey part 2, kind of. I like so in that, and so then okay, so I finished Harvard. I
Mhm.
got my doctorate, and then what happened is I moved back to New York City, and I thought I could, well, I did, found my own opera company, the Maria
Mhm.
Antonia Project, and get this music out there. I wanted to really get this music out there into the world. Well, I because New York City is not the friendliest environment when it comes to being an independent musician.
Oh,
I wound
wow.
up
Oh,
y-
because of unions, right? Because there most of
very,
them.
very restrictive because of unions.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's very hard to get anything done
Hmm.
if you're an independent musician. And it's
Hmm.
also very hard to make money.
Yes.
A startup opera company is not treated the same way as a startup tech firm, for example,
Hmm.
right?
Right, exactly.
And so I kept running into not being able to afford to do things. I wound up moving back in with my mother, um, at the, and then I wound up helping her with a lot of health and family crises over the course of a decade, which is why I call that period of my life the decade of awfulness.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to get this creative thing going, but it's also, oh, something's going on with mom, gotta help her, gotta keep, oh, she's in the hospital, gotta help her out of the hospital. Oh, lots of things.
And that
And
takes its
some
toll. Yes.
that takes its toll. And especially when these things are being caused by an elder sibling. I have a brother, and he was not living in New York at the time.
Hmm.
But his issues became her issues
Hmm.
and wound up affecting her and then
Hmm.
subsequently me because I kept having to
Hmm.
get her out of financial
Hmm.
things that were caused by this. It was just so the decade of awfulness.
Hmm.
All right, so then 2010 this is towards the end of that decade. Now I'm not very happy because I'm not working when my
Hmm.
career's not going well. And I just pulled my mom out of another family
Hmm.
crisis. But I went to a job fair with a friend of mine that I met in the Actors Work program, and she was a member of SAG, Screen Actors Guild.
Hmm.
She asked me if I would want to go. She had two passes to the newly opened, a screening of the newly opened film by Tim Burton, Alice in Wonderland.
Hmm.
I was not interested, frankly. I
Hmm.
had only
Wow.
read one thing by I'd only read one thing by Lewis Carroll, and that was the poem
Right.
Jabberwock. When I was an
Yes.
undergraduate at Queens College, I'd read that, I'd
Hmm.
loved it, but I didn't know anything else about
Hmm.
his work. I wasn't really interested in Tim Burton or Johnny Depp at that time. I'd
Hmm.
seen one film of theirs,
Right.
Edward Scissorhands,
Yes.
years previous. And, but I wasn't interested in them. But I said, you know what? Since the Directors Guild Cinema, which is where the
Hmm.
screening was taking place, since it's on the way to the subway, I'll walk you there. So I
Hmm.
walked her there. We get to the door. She's like, you sure you don't want to come in? Well, it's a long subway ride back to Queens. Let me go in and use the bathroom. So I go
Hmm.
do that. 5 minutes to showtime. She says, are you sure you don't want to stay? And what tipped it in the film's favor was that I had not seen a 3D film at that time.
Okay.
And I said, you know what? Okay, since it's a 3D film, I'll go in. Why not?
When things are
It's
meant to
worth
be,
right. And it's
right?
like,
When things are
it's worth
meant
the
to
price
be,
of admission,
yes.
whatever. Right? So so we go in, we sit way down right in the front, and I'm sitting there I'm not expecting anything really. Well, the second the lights go down, the music comes up, and the screen starts to fill with the imagery, like I feel something reawaken within me. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Because I had given up on dreams. I had just about given up on dreams, on magic, on wonder. But here I was that all those feelings were starting to reawaken. And then as I watched Alice go through what she was going through in her journey, I started to feel resonance with my own journey. And the scene that really started to do it for me was the Mad Tea Party scene. Now, have you seen the film?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's this scene where she's coming out of a clearing and she's looking at a table, and at this
Hmm.
table, there's the Hatter at the far end and the
Hmm.
March Hare over here and the Dormouse over here. Okay. So she's coming out of the clearing, and the Hatter awakens and his face fills with delight. He's absolutely overjoyed to see her. And then at the moment his face fills the screen, I hear inside my head this British accented voice go, "That's me." And I'm like, me who? This is all going on internally. Me who? But I don't get a response. And I'm like, all right. Okay, return to the film. Watch the film, love the film. By the time we get out, 2 hours later, I feel like something's reawakened, really like now sparked to life in me. And I start being obsessed by Lewis Carroll. I
Hmm.
read the books. I read both Alice books and anything else I can find by him. I start being obsessed by Alice and the character of the Hatter.
Mhm.
And and then I start, like going to the Disney site and collecting the,
Mhm.
stuff from the film and all this. And about a little over a year later, I'm looking on my computer for stills from that film to use as
Mhm.
wallpaper on my Mac. I come across one. It has the Hatter's picture and then a poem that's written, you can tell it's written in a Mad Hatter type voice.
Mhm.
Well, and I look at it and say, that might work. Well, then that British accented voice pipes up inside my head again.
Mhm.
Says, I could do better.
Oh, wow.
And I go, what do you mean?
Mhm.
Well, look, it's not even a proper form. It needs to be a sonnet. And I go, sonnet? Like, I haven't written one of those. I haven't written one of those in a decade at least. But I'm like, all right. I'm like, okay, I'll take you up on that, right? And so but I do look in the dictionary, the Oxford American Dictionary, to make sure
Mhm.
I'm remembering what a sonnet is. And all it really says is sonnet, 14-line poem. I'm I can do
Mhm.
14 lines. So I get out a piece of paper, take a
Mhm.
pen, and I start writing. And then I start laughing as 15 minutes later we have, if I were not mad, what on earth would I be? 'Tis
Mhm.
an unlikely prospect, I'm sure you'll agree. Those voices that whisper when no one is
Mhm.
near, their meaning is all too entirely clear. I laugh out of turn, I sing in the rain. To me, this is custom, to others, insane.
Mhm.
My past is a mystery shrouded in dreams, concealed by blue starlight and moonlit by streams. My present meanders up uncommon roads, and as for my future, who knows what it holds? My friends, they're a mixture of whimsy and wise who come round the bend to drink tea in disguise.
Mhm.
In a world where 1 + 1 = 3, if I were not mad, who would I be?
Mhm.
And then the name, Madison Hatta Sonneteer, the profession sonneteer, came
Mhm.
right out of the pen afterwards.
Wow. And that's fabulous. And that's the beginning of your whole
And
system now that you offer
and
everyone,
that's
which
right.
is,
And
I
that
find
is
fascinating.
it's just amazing. And we have well over 200 sonnets because that was the first one, and then they just kept coming, kept coming. Every time I would sit down, something new would come out. And
Now, are they
these
published? Are they published in a book?
I did publish, we did through Moonstone Press, we did do
Mhm.
2 chapbooks. Madison Hatta's Book of
Mhm.
Unreasonable Rhymes is the first one, and then Madison Hatta's Book of Unrelenting Rhymes. And they
Oh,
were both
wow.
published, yeah, they were both published by
They're chat.
Moonstone Press.
You said they're
Um,
chapbooks. And now, do you ever perform those? Yeah, because
I have Yeah, I did at first in New York. When I first started out, I did go to places like Cornelia Street Cafe
Mhm.
and perform them. And I was
Mhm.
in a show at La Mama Experimental Theater
Mhm.
performing as Madison. But
Mhm.
I started to get the feeling that, and I did perform them in Philadelphia too, in Mount Airy when I was there at Mount Airy Art
Mhm.
Garage. But I started to get the feeling that I wasn't to do them that way, like because
Mhm.
people perceive it as performance art when you do something
Right.
like this. And
Right.
that's not what
It's
these
not right.
are.
Mhm.
Yeah. This is a profoundly spiritual experience for
Mhm.
me. I call Madison my guardian angel of my sense of
Mhm.
humor.
Yes.
Yeah. Because these sonnets made me laugh, they make
Mhm.
others laugh, and they pulled from situations, really some dysfunctional situations in my life. They pulled from that these things and then found the humor in them and put them through a
Hmm.
wonderlandish lens and helped me to see myself and my life
Hmm.
differently. And it's part of my healing. This is part
Right.
of my healing journey.
Right. Exactly. And so now you're offering this service.
Right. So now what this has turned into, because over the years I've tried to figure out, well, what is it that I'm offering to people with this? And because I love to play,
Mhm.
but I need people to play with.
Mhm.
It's fun to play by oneself. Yes,
Mhm.
juggling I can absolutely do by myself, but it's also fun and it's more
Mhm.
fun, I think, to play with others. And
Mhm.
so I've been developing an online course
Mhm.
and it's going to launch this summer. It's called The Alice Way. And that's my 5-step Wonderland inspired approach to total well-being. I really should say it's my and Madison's because
Yes.
Madison is part of the course, in
Mhm.
addition to, so the 5 steps, and I call it the Alice way. I'll back up.
Mhm.
I call it the Alice way because it takes its name from Alice of Alice's
Mhm.
Adventures in Wonderland. And each of the letters of her name stands for a different concept
Mhm.
or a different step in my approach. So A is for awe, developing a sense of
Mhm.
awe and also authenticity.
Mhm.
L
But
stands for love. Yeah.
it's funny because you say that because we've met in a professional capacity, and I find this such a wonderful way to provide steps to people for healing. So now you
Mm,
were going to say it's Alice's name. So now go ahead. You were
yes.
saying with the letter
Thank
L
you.
because I find this a wonderful system.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, and it's a wonderlandish system too. Right? And so L stands for love and levity. So laughter is definitely
Yes.
part of the whole
Yes.
thing. Then I is for inspiration and innate musicality.
Mm.
C stands for courage and clarity. And then E is for exercise, which is a very important part of anything that I do, exercise and expressivity, because we need to express
Oh,
our,
yes.
our
Hmm.
individuality in the
Hmm.
world. And
Oh,
so
absolutely.
that's the Alice way coming to a computer near you in the summer of 2024.
But you also help people individually.
I
Yes.
do
So
help
you
people.
have this. This is something, a new
Mhm.
program that's going to be offered this
Yes,
summer, but you do help individual clientele. And you've been doing
I
that
do. Yeah, I
yes.
help people more but more in a group coaching setting. I do also though, I will offer things one-on-one, but
Hmm.
I'm really much more a group person. And I do like
Hmm.
to do things in person.
Yes.
So, because online is fine, but in
Hmm.
person, it's for one thing, it's easier to teach people to juggle in person than online.
Yes. Yes. And now where do you do the in person? Like, do you offer that in New York City?
No, I'm now based in Fort Myers, Florida.
Oh, wow. You're down in Florida. Okay. So you're
Yes,
doing this in Florida.
I moved here in 2022. Oh, almost exactly a year ago, almost a year, 2 years ago now. And yeah, I do this. I offer this here in Fort Myers, Florida, live and in person, in and around Southwest Florida.
Hmm.
Not
Right.
just in
Right.
Fort Myers. And then, of course, whatever conference invites me to speak, or if
Yes.
I could offer a keynote, and then I can do a workshop, as part of that. So
Hmm.
it's very
Hmm.
flexible. Madison goes with me, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And now, do you have any other books in the works with Madison?
With Madison, I am planning on putting together a big book of Madisonnets.
Oh, how lovely. Great
Yeah,
title.
thank you. Thank you. So I'm planning to put that together, and that should be available probably later in the year. That I might probably in time to go along with the course. This summer is when I'm looking
Mhm.
to have that available for people. And
Now, how can they find you? Because I know you have a website, of course, because you are an opera singer. First
right,
and
right.
foremost, you are an opera singer,
Yeah.
so you do have a website. How can they find, in addition to your singing information? Because I'm assuming where you sing, you also have a calendar of events if you're singing somewhere where people can follow.
Well, I don't yet have a calendar of
Mm,
events, and most of the singing that I do
mm,
right now
mhm,
is voluntary,
mhm,
you know,
mhm,
and takes place at Christmas time.
mhm,
So as the music that I love to sing the most, Christmas
mhm,
carols,
mhm,
Baroque music, and oh yes, Maria Antonia,
mhm,
because one of my projects that I'm putting out there to the world is that I want to record the audiobook and CD to go along with the Tenth Muse, you know,
mhm.
my with that biography
Yes,
of
yes.
Maria Antonia. I want to record that. That's a
Mhm,
project that, but I don't yet have an orchestra at my disposal. So I'm
mhm,
putting it out there because I would like that to be a project that takes
mhm.
place, you know, later this year or
Right,
in
right.
next year. Yeah.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
lovely as a person who listens to a lot of books,
Mhm.
because you can never have enough books. So if I'm not reading, I'm listening to them. That would be fabulous to have something like that on audio. And of course, like you said, with
Yeah.
the orchestra
Yes.
behind it, that's important.
Yes, because I
Mm,
have a lot of musical examples in the
mhm,
book.
mhm.
And it's just, to me, it's not complete until you
Right.
hear the music. You know, for me,
Mhm,
it wasn't complete. When I was doing my dissertation on Maria Antonia, I was the first Harvard music department doctoral
mhm.
candidate to perform as part of my dissertation presentation.
Wow. Oh, that's fabulous.
That was,
Right. Because
and I'm
really, who
going,
does?
yeah,
Right. Somebody
and I'm going,
else. Right.
yeah, how can you not perform this music? If
Mhm,
you research this music, don't you want to know what it sounds like? I know I wanted to know what it sounded like. So we only did one of her arias, but
mhm,
it was beautiful. And you know, and as part of the when I did the Maria Antonia project,
mhm,
again, you know, I pulled some of her arias out and put them into concert form and had a pianist as an accompanist. But
mhm,
now it's really time to take it further, to have an orchestra so that people can really hear the music the way it was intended to be played. So period instruments, you know, historically informed performance
mhm,
practice and all of this. But that to me is the most important part of that becoming an audiobook. It's not
mhm.
enough just to have me read the words and
Right.
have you hear about Maria Antonia
Mhm,
from me. You also have
mhm.
to hear Maria Antonia
Yes.
through me.
Yes.
Right? That's what my
Yes.
singing can do.
I find
Yeah.
a I find it amazing that she popped out of all that information that was there for you to see, that she actually popped out, because clearly she wanted everyone to know, right, about her music and what she has done, because
Yes.
not too many people are going to be studying
Right.
pastoral music. That's opera. That's a certain niche in that time vein. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's something that really wanted to be told. Some her work, she wanted to get out there.
I think so. Yes, I feel that absolutely. That is something that she
Mhm.
wanted out there. She wanted it to get out there. And I am happy to do that because she
Now, who would
was
have been
such an
her male
extraordinary.
contemporary? Who would have been her male
So,
contemporary for pastoral opera?
well, I mean, the pastoral as a genre, we're talking
Mhm.
shepherd and shepherdess operas. It's
Yes.
shepherd and shepherdess stories for those who
Mhm.
are wondering what a pastoral opera is. So that genre goes back to, what did I figure? Aminta is one of I think the earliest one. And famous male composers you would have heard of who wrote pastoral things, are
Mhm.
people like Handel, George Frederick Handel,
Mhm.
and Vivaldi, you know, Il Pastor Fido. The title Il Pastor Fido, if you put that into search, you'll come up with a lot of composers who, you know, The Faithful Shepherd is that title,
Right, right,
the
right, right. And
translation.
who did
And
something
so,
in that
and that's,
in that vein?
yeah.
Yes.
And so people, you know, her predecessors and contemporaries were writing these sorts of stories, shepherds and shepherdesses in love. That to sum them up.
Right.
Shepherdesses and shepherds in love. Okay.
Mhm.
And there weren't many women who were writing the operas, like writing the music and the lyrics. So one of
Mhm.
Maria Antonia's big claims to fame is that she was not only the composer of her music, but she was the librettist of her own
Mhm.
operas. So she wrote
Did it
poetry
all.
in
Yeah.
Italian and
Mhm.
other languages. And
Mhm.
so she wrote the libretti to her own operas. She was
Mhm.
also a singer. So she sang her own operas and in operas composed by others. And she was a patron of the arts who wanted to turn Saxony into the fine arts capital of Europe in the mid-18th century after she married into the Saxon royal family.
Yes.
She's originally from Bavaria.
Mhm.
Yeah. And, I mean, but yeah, you can't think one of the reasons she was so extraordinary, considered so
Mhm.
extraordinary during her lifetime, was
Mhm.
that there was no composer really to compare her to. None of her
Mhm.
male contemporaries wrote the music and the words to
Right.
their own operas.
Let
None
alone
of them,
sang. Right. Let
right
alone
now, let
sang.
alone
Many
sang in the,
sang.
exactly. Yeah. And so, even though she at the court of Dresden, she may have studied a little bit of composition with Johann Adolf Hasse, who was the court composer there. And then she was also the patron, she's not only his patron, but of Giovanni Ristori, an Italian composer who was there. Yeah, they're her contemporaries, but they weren't her equal, right, in
Right.
terms of
Right.
creativity. And
Mhm.
so that's part of why she was so extraordinary.
Mhm.
So extraordinary that people named their children after her.
After her.
Yeah,
Because she was
including her
well known at the
cousin.
time and what she was
Hmm.
doing. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. One of her
It's
cousins was
really
named
well worth
after
the
her.
read. It really is. It's really
Yep.
well worth the read because you get a
Yes.
lot of
Thank you. Thank
information of
you.
the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, you're quite welcome. And I just want to know where do you go from here now? Because you have so many things going on. And do you think you would do your opera company in Florida? Is that a
Well,
possibility?
there are always possibilities. I won't rule it out. But I mean, the one thing I want to do is Maria Antonia's opera.
Hmm.
And then we'll see, Il Trionfo della Fedeltà. I just want the music that accompanies the book,
Hmm.
I want to do. And then I would see where that would go from there.
Hmm.
But I'm focused right now this summer I'm focused
Hmm.
on the Alice Way,
Yes.
getting that out because I had started a self-help memoir. When I moved in 2022, I was in the middle of editing this self-help memoir that was going to include lots of what has now become the Alice Way.
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
interrupted that to publish on Maria Antonia. So the next book, after getting some more Madisonnets out there, I
Hmm.
do believe that the next book will be the book of the Alice Way.
Hmm. Yes, that's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah,
I'm actually
yeah.
waiting for that. I was going to ask you about that. Where can we get these books? Is there one location or are there many different locations where you possibly could purchase? Like I know the chapbooks for people who don't know, that is more of a um, university press usually, right? A university press will do chapbooks because they're
Or an
special
independent
style
press.
or
Hmm.
independent, right, right. But it's a
Yeah,
special style book. So
yeah.
where can we get all of your works?
So the Madisonnets chapbooks, if they're still available, because that's the other thing, you never know if they're going to stay in print. Uh,
Yes.
if they're still available, Moonstone Press is the
Hmm.
company out of Philadelphia.
Hmm.
And they specialize in publishing poetry chapbooks. So they
So I'm going to
have
look it up. And if
yes,
it is available, I will put the link in the
yeah,
description along with your
yeah,
website, of course. And so that,
yes,
yeah, so hopefully they are still in print.
yes. And then the 10th Muse is
Hmm.
available on Amazon
Hmm.
in
I'll
all
put
three
that link as
formats.
well.
Kindle, yes,
Yes.
Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. It is
Hmm.
available. So that's
Yes,
people
no, I
can go to
definitely will put
Amazon.
that too. Yes. And I'll put the link
Yeah.
directly for that. I can put it right in the description as well so people can click right on it and it goes directly to that purchase. So that'll be great to do, because I'm sure that the audience, I'm sure I'm going to hear sometimes they write in and they'll say, where can I get that? Or I heard this, where can I purchase it? So I want to make sure that it's all there.
Yes.
And then we'll be waiting for the Alice Way.
You'll be waiting for the Alice Way book. While you're waiting, though, you can go to free gift from drapril.com, and that's free gift from DR, so the abbreviation for Dr. DR April .com, and get your download of your guide to the Alice Way. So it's a single page PDF that's just gives you the outline of this is, what the Alice Way contains. This is what I talk about. And I also have a YouTube channel where I have an introduction to called Your Guide to the Alice Way. So on my YouTube channel, you can actually see 5 separate videos, just short videos about each of the steps in the Alice Way.
That's wonderful. I will definitely point to that in the description. And of course, I thank you for the free gift for the audience, and I will put that in for them as well, so that they can grab that to see. And then will that information, say someone wants to get involved with the course, will that be on your website? Will there be a section that
so
they can go to?
There's a link on my website. On my website, there's a tab that says courses by Dr. April, and you can click on the image for the Alice Way. I'll also give you the URL so that people can go to, because right now I'm in the pre-registration period for the course. I'm letting people know that it's coming, and you can pre-register, and those who pre-register will get a special deal, when the course actually launches. Be sure to do that. But
definitely. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of takers for the Alice Way, because there are many people that are interested in the whole system. In fact, I know 2 people that had a splendid wedding that was the Mad Hatter's Tea Party.
Nice.
Exactly like the movie. Was fabulous. Fantastic. Of course, it helps that they were theatrical. It was a theatrical pair, but it was splendid. And I know that you're going to get a lot of people wanting, and I know they're going to start to ask me questions about it, make sure that I have that information there for everybody, because it is a wonderful way to work healing in.
Yes. It's I just love this, because it's so much fun to play with other people and to encourage adults especially to recover their childlike joy and vitality.
Yes, absolutely. Because how many times, right, you're told behave, right? And that's how we're raised, behave, sit down, stop jumping around, don't play with that, don't touch that. And so you bring with that into adulthood, and you're stoic for the most part. Because you've been told. Right.
And people start, then you're cutting yourself off from everything that makes you human and everything that keeps you healthy when you start doing that. And the Alice Way is part of, let's return to that childlike joy, childlike wonder. Let's return to that, that beginner's mind that we often hear about. Get that beginner's mind going again, start exploring, start connecting with yourself again. Because when you're connecting with yourself, your true self, your true heart, you're connecting with the divine. The divine is the source of all that's good in us. The love, all the love that we need, all the health that we need comes from the divine. And we have to connect with it. We can't just keep ourselves in our heads separate from it. No, we have to be in our hearts. Yeah,
absolutely. And then we not only can change ourselves, we can change the world, right?
Exactly. But and changing the world starts when we change our inner world, when we change ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. That's it. One person at a time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, April, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. This is just, wonderful. I'm so thrilled that you had a little bit of time to come and explain this all to the audience.
Well, I thank you so much for having me on, Marisa. This was a wonderful experience.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Hopefully we will speak again. And and I can't wait to have the Alice book, the Alice Way book. That's wonderful.
Good. Well, that's my
but I want
encouragement
to tell everybody, yes. I want to tell everybody you have to go and look at the website and everything because yes, Dr. April actually has the purple hat.
Yeah,
She
yes.
does own the purple hat. I just want people
I
to
have a
know.
hat. I wanted to wear it on camera, but it keeps I'll show it to you, but it keeps disappearing when I put it
Because of the
on. It's
color, because of the green. Yeah. So
because of
you
the
have a
color,
green one
yes.
too.
So I start calling it Cheshire hat when it does that.
Yes.
But
That
yeah,
is true because it disappears, right? Because you do have a purple one. Yes, you do.
yes,
Purple one
yeah.
too. Yeah, but that one is that's actually cute because it is Cheshire because it does disappear on camera. Well, I
Exactly.
thank you for letting us see that as well. I
Thank
appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, April. Thank you
thank
again.
you.
Bye
Oh,
now.
my pleasure. Bye
You're
now.
quite welcome. Bye now.